Alright. Welcome to the MGS4 intro tutorial. This is a redo of a previous tutorial. I'm modernizing it. This is recorded in October of 2019. So, it's worth dating it because there might be some changes. The gist of this tutorial, we're going to talk about what the resources and web pages and the menus of this game look like, how they function, and a lot of that stuff for just getting into the game before we even talk about anything. So, first we're starting with MGS4 itself. MGS4 has a couple things on the main menu that are already worth pointing out. So, when you start a new game, you'll have, for the first time ever, you'll have options Liquid Easy, Naked Normal, Solid Normal, and Big Boss Hard. After you beat the game once on your system, you will unlock the Boss Extreme. Each of these difficulties has different things, like difficulty, like the amount of ammo you can carry, enemy senses. There's a whole lot of things that change that you typically expect for a game like this to change. Additionally, when you beat the game, there is a ending rank or emblem that you get, and each rank, typically you can only get certain max ranks, or rank 1 is what we call them. The Boss Extreme, for example, you could get Big Boss, which is the best ranking in the game. Things like 0 kills, 0 alerts, 0 continues, 0 recovery items. Pretty typical MGS4 stuff, I'm sure you can imagine. Or Metal Gear Solid in general stuff. All of these are spelled out in a web page that I will direct you to later, but that's worth pointing out. Additionally, whenever you start a new game, you'll get about 2.5 minutes of interesting TV commercials. If you are looking to speedrun this, you do not have to watch those. As soon as they end, you can skip a cutscene and load a game. Specifically, if we were to go to load a game, your save files will look like these. They'll say difficulty, here's your save file time. It should say 234 or later, unless you're on an SSD, then it could be 233, but it's always consistently this time. So if the commercials annoy you, or you find yourself resetting and you're not enjoying watching them, we do allow these saves. Take advantage of them if you find yourself needing them. There's also, with saves, this star next to them. And that indicates that you have beaten the game using this file that many times. That is the... this is the 15th time I'll be beating the game on this file, for example. So, that matters more for New Game versus New Game Plus, because the star means it's New Game Plus. If you were to do this for a New Game file, you have to show there is no star. But that's about it when it comes to these saves. You could make whatever saves you want. You just have to know that when you make a save, you can't load the save or quit to the main menu if you were doing a typical speedrun. And we'll get into what is and isn't allowed in a couple minutes. So, mission briefing is you go here, you load a save. So I'm going to load one of my New Game Plus saves, for example. And what it does is it lets you watch all the mission briefings. And the reason the save matters is not just because if I was loading a new game, the only one I'd have unlocked is Act 1. But if you go to Act 3, for example, when you get to the cutscene that has you controlling Mark II in one corner, and in another corner is some random screen, and then in another corner is Snake and Otacon talking. there'll be a yellow bar that scrolls to the middle, and that will show you all of your stats. So this file is going to have like zeros for everything other than gameplay time, but I'll just give you a quick idea of what that looks like once I load up to it. So each cutscene set has it in a different spot. The mission briefing, you always have to watch that, but once you get past that, you can start skipping cutscenes. So I specifically went to 3. I prefer 3 for viewing stats, as it's pretty consistent for getting to. Like, I always know where it is. It's 2 cutscenes, and then on this one, just wait a couple seconds. Another thing is that some briefings are actually too short to show you all of the stats, but this one is long enough. You can see stats are now scrolling across. You can look at everything you need to. You can even pause the game, and while the stats are definitely darker, they are there. You can see them. So, yep, if you wanted to view stats, this is where you would go do that. That's specifically if you're, like, trying to get Big Boss or something, and you were worried you accidentally got a kill, make a save, go check it out. And if you did, you know how it works. Options in MGS4. So MGS4, the way it works is if you need to go into a game and then set whatever options you want, then make a save, and then quit. Then, once you've saved, the system will remember your options. So we want cycle mode, which allows you to cycle between 3 different objects consistently. In-game, the way that would work is you'll put something in, you push R2, go to the next cycle, do it again, and it's replaced if you overwrite. Lock on, auto aim, I would avoid using this, and it's only useful for Liquid Easy and like 1 or 2 strats, really. If you forget it's on, you actually can mess yourself up. Most of this other stuff is personal preference. How do you like your camera to move and things like that. But the big thing in here that does matter is it not in here? It must be in game. Okay, so in game there is another option that says pop-up menu time or something like that. And you're gonna want to set that to 1 second, because that means every pop-up menu, like these, when you press start stuff, it reduces the amount of time those pop-up menus take. Yeah, it must only be in-game. Photo album is irrelevant. It's only if you get the camera, and you don't need it. Virtual range is something that you go into for testing weapons. You load a save file, I think. Or not, okay. And then you just test whatever you want. Extras is something that it exists in 2.0, but for the most part, online has pretty much been removed. Acquired files have pretty much been removed. This is all the DLC for the game. If you were to go get it, there are ways to go get that are perfectly fine. But for the most part, there's nothing super relevant here. My game's actually set to Japanese right now, so that gives you an idea of how I acquired these. And then password is the only thing relevant here. If you wanted to jump right into the game, passwords work the same way. Once you put a password in, then you have that item, provided you make a save. If you don't make a save, you don't have that item. And I think when you start a new game, I don't even know if you'd even have that item initially. You probably would, though, based off of how other Metal Gears work. But that's really it there. Online was for, like, MGO. I think there also might have been an MGO option here, but like I said, that was removed in 2.0. 2.0 also added trophy support. as well as this little install thing you see here. It used to be you would install each act individually as you got to them, but with 2.0, you get the option to full install, or you could do these individual act. The previous data will be deleted. When installing the data needed for each act, the previous data will not be deleted. Oh, you definitely want cumulative install. I'll have to edit that. Okay, so yeah. So anyway, yeah, this is just install. You want to install your game because it speeds it up, makes it go a little faster. There's both discs and non-discs. Specifically, if you get the original disc, or if you get the original disc, it comes 1.0 and you have to download an update. If you play on 2.0, which is the legacy version, the 25th anniversary, or the digital, it comes pre-patched to 2.0. So you don't have to worry about anything fancy or crazy. It's all here. Just install the game and you're good to go. So now to move on over to some other resources here. So you'll notice here I am on speedrun.com. So this is the Metal Gear Solid 4 speedrun page. The main categories are single segment and multi-segment. Single segment is defined, as you can see here, by loading that initial save I told you about, and then beating the game. Just go and beat the game. No quit outs, nothing. Just take what you're given and beat the game. Multi-segment, on the other hand here, this one allows you to quit out of your game, make a save, quit out, and then re-enter it. And the reason you'd want to do that is, as you can see here, these times are significantly faster. And that's because there's a lot of unique things, such as a trick called resistance skip, which save a lot of time, but are not realistically possible in a single segment sitting because of how risky they may be. Typically, multi-segment's more for the big boss rank, since it takes quite a bit of time and energy to run these. But, you know, speedruns are about how you want to play. The next option here is the difficulties. You could see each difficulty. There are some differences between the difficulties, as we talked about, but for the most part, it's just how difficult you want the game to be. And then finally is New Game and New Game Plus. So there are actually quite a lot of differences between these. New Game Plus, you start with everything. And there's also some exclusive items, like the solar gun is exclusive to New Game Plus. There's an item called the Big Boss Face Camo that's exclusive to New Game Plus. You get the idea. It's pretty typical. Other than having all of your items and equipment, though, there's not really any other advantage. But in and of itself, that actually could save about 10 minutes. So the times are pretty substantial. And then there are runs for every difficulty here too. Multi-segment, no though. The next thing on the list here is ILs. There are ILs for this game. The only time displayed is going to be the TBE, New Game Plus time. But if you click on any specific act, you can see that you can select the same settings here. Rules are detailed on how to make a file for this, how timing works for these, and you could go and check that out on your own time and make optimal IL runs if that's what you really want to do. You'll also notice we have a Discord. It's down here in the bottom. This Discord links to the Metal Gear speedrunning Discord. If you want to join us, come check out the MGS4 channel. I'm usually there along with some of the other individuals like Sparty who play this game. And we have a website, wiki. So this is MetalGearSpeedrunners.com. Specifically, we're looking at the MGS4 page right now. This is still in construction. Still designing it how we want to do this, but for now, this is what it looks like. If you wanted to just look at the game in general, I have a whole bunch of references for you here. Questions, how some of the things in the game works, Metal Gear Online 2, the DLC, general speedrunning, and strats. And then you can also get, if you wanted to specifically focus on something that's like New Game or New Game Plus and is only relevant for that playthrough, we have guides up for these. And again, all this is a work in progress, so when you yourself actually come look at this, there could be more, there could be less, there could be changes. The general format is going to stay roughly like this. And with that, that's your intro to MGS4. I'll look to see you out there speedrunning this game.